Welcome back to round 4 of CoolStuffCon Dallas. This is XJ Cloud, joined once again by Jason from Duelcom US.
Hello.
And we have the Quintorius versus Airtie matchup here for round 4. Something I commonly refer to as Quintorius' nightmare matchup. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but I don't know. I think Quintorius and Urtai have this back and forth hatred towards one another. I know for sure Richard, the guy that you're playing, my partner in crime and dual commander, if you will, hates going against Quintorius personally because of this match. I think don't want to spoil anything, but um, yeah, I think it has its pros and cons for sure. Like Quintorius has ways of getting around the hand disruption of Urtai and the not as creature heavy aspect of the removal for Urtai. So it eliminates a lot of cards that Urtai kind of relies on sometimes. Um, but in the flip end of things, Urtai can just Parallax Tide, Parallax Nexus, keep your Quintorius from ever resolving or destroy your Quintorius when it does resolve. I mean,
That last bit is what I usually key into in the airtime matchup of uh, when you're uh, when you're Quintorius against a blue deck, you one of the big plans is trying to bob and weave through counter spells, resolve your Quintorius. It's hard. It's a hard card to answer when it's on the table, so you can just cast your silences, your red blasts. But Airtie is just built-in Planeswalker removal in addition to being a built-in counter spell, which always makes this match feel tough compared to other blue
yeah, and
matchups.
not to harp on Urtai. I love going against him so much. You can check that out on our channel, Duelcom US. How many Urtai matches I really love seeing, but he also is a stifle, and I think some people misunderstand that of how good his stifling really is. Not only for the Urtai player, but against creature or planeswalker decks like Quintorius and such, where they're just like, yeah, I'll just stifle the trigger. This is something I've like me and Richard have practiced and played a bunch, so like I know that. So he's about to show his hand to the camera.
Yeah.
So we have a waterbending scroll, lose focus, sink into stupor, flooded strand, Riptide Laboratory, Parallax Nexus, and an Archmage's Charm there at the bottom. There.
I have no idea how you can tell that that's an Archmage's Charm, but
It's the little like
yeah.
flippy thingy. It's the little like it's that little part of the art that I see that made me know it's an Archmage's Charm. It's also my card, so
Yeah, I guess. And when you play against this deck IRL, every other day, then I guess it's a little easier to recognize those cards. But
yeah, trust me, when the Archmage's Charm steals your Skull Clamp for the 15th time, you recognize Archmage's Charm.
that is true.
Yeah, that was the most recent Archmage's Charm crime that he's committed against me. He stole my Skull Clamp, used Veldakin shackles to steal my Sky Coach, and then started beating me to death with my own Sky Coach conductor.
All right, looks like we're resolving mulligans here. Mulligan to 6 for me, kept 7, and Richard is one of the die roll. And the classic dual commander start: fetch land go, fetch land go, fetch fetch.
Yep, fetch and response. Right. No fetch and response.
I put more stock in myself than to not fetch and response. There we go. All right, I figured it out.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. You know what? I'll just fetch it. Yeah. Maybe sometimes you got to look at your hand and go, maybe I already have a plateau.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't usually think about it a little bit. How much do I care about getting stifled here? But always be thinking about stifle in this format. There are multiple stifles that see play in pretty much all the blue decks between actual stifle and what's the legend counters legendary creatures stifle?
Yep, Tail's End.
Tail's End, yeah.
Spider Sense.
Tishana's Tidebinder.
Yeah, Tidebinder. Spider Sense doesn't hit lands though. Spider Sense only hits triggered abilities, so not as threatening.
Doing some surveilling on both sides.
You're going to decide to keep it on top. He's going to untap. Let go. That's another land. Yep, that would be a. Which
Oh
one's that?
god,
That's the one.
River of Tears.
Yes, I believe so.
Nice. All right, I still know my unplayable random cycles that never got finished lands.
Yeah.
All right, Urza Saga. This is definitely one of the big cards versus a blue black, basically any blue black deck. It's an enchantment that makes artifacts is tough for blue black to answer.
For sure. I
But
think
it is
there's
also
a
important to
soul.
get it down before the airtie can stifle it, right? If I played it a turn later, he
Yeah,
could always turn 4 stifle the chapter 2 trigger, and I get no constructs.
for sure. And you just draw a card instead.
Yeah.
So you just paid 3 mana for a card draw.
Yeah, and then my land blows up.
So he's flashing his hand to the camera again. We saw now he has a dismember as well.
Yeah, not the best card, but he does have that Parallax Nexus from the opening hand, which is one of the scariest cards. Something that I talk about a lot in Control's blue matchups, or in Quintorius's blue matchups, is the idea of inevitability. The concept that like you don't have infinite time. Your opponent has something looming, whether that's an Atraxa, and Airtie is really good inevitability because the Parallax Nexus and Parallax Tide are both really hard cards to interact with that can just kind of kill you out of nowhere. So you can't just sit on your hands, play the long control game, play out your lands, and try to weave in the Quintorius and end the game on turn 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that threat is already looming. So fortunately, at least we have this Urza Saga here to start putting on some pressure. Let's make some.
So yeah, the classic land go, wait for Urtai. I'm surprised you didn't Urtai there, but
well, you don't need to Urtai like the one construct activation, right? You could always just kill a construct if you want to do that.
Yeah. So he has Riptide as well. So those that may not be familiar with Urtai or Riptide returns a wizard back to your hand. So the loop with Urtai is you play it, then you return it with Riptide at their end step, and then you continue to gain value from recasting Urtai a billion times. All right, here comes Currency Converter. Now, this card can generate a massive amount of value and is probably one of the MVPs of Quintorius.
Yeah, one of the best cards in the deck by far. Very good versus control. Kind of does a dual purpose card quality where you're filtering your draws with the looting effect. You can discard a lot of your bad removal and try to draw your control haymakers, and also can generate extra bodies, be a threat.
Right. Now I can't remember, and maybe you might not remember, but do you run Retrofitter Foundry in your Quint list?
I do. I'm pretty sure I did at the time. Yeah, it's sometimes a tough choice between Retrofitter and Currency Converter, which one you want. Looks like Archmage Charm draw 2.
Yeah, he doesn't. Maybe at this point he doesn't understand the power.
Doesn't believe in the steal mode. Everyone.
Yeah.
It's so hard to resist stealing stuff with Archmage's Charm.
Oh yeah, I think
That's why
after honestly, after this match, he probably recognized the steal mode a lot more, and he used it way too many times against me. But
I can honestly see the steal being pretty good there. Demote these constructs to 2/2s, and you get your own filtering going on. You can make 2/2s to block the 2/2s, etc. But back to the point of Retrofitter Foundry, it's sometimes tough to decide which one you want versus control. I usually err on how many dead cards are currently floating around in my hand because, as we see a dismember on the construct here, Retrofitter is a lot better at producing threats over time for less total mana input. But Currency Converter, it only makes a 2/2 every other turn if you're discarding non-lands. But it also helps you sculpt your hand. So it depends a lot on what you want to be doing with your mana, what you want to be doing with your cards in hand, stuff like that. We see this very innocuous dice on the table. Don't worry about that.
This is like the foreshadowing that Richard does of he wants to know when he asks certain stuff of Oh, how many cards do you have in your hand? How many lands do you have right now? What
It's
do they tap
always
for?
lining up these parallaxes. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
tracking the number of cards in my hand to find the optimal parallax nexus timing. But this is also a good reason to get currency converter over retrofitter foundry in this specific instance because you can start turning it into just draw a card if you're discarding this squee over and over.
for sure. I think the only pitch I have for Retrofitter Foundry in your Urza search is you already have the constructs
Yeah,
where Retrofitter Foundry just adds more value to the constructs of like, cool, here's an artifact, I'll make another artifact, and
yeah.
then I'll make another artifact, and you just repeat the beatdown with
Yeah,
Retrofitter
it
Foundry.
buffs them up definitely pretty fast. But yeah, like I said,
Yeah,
very context dependent, and I can definitely see there's a lot of instances where you want Foundry, and I'm almost positive I am running Foundry in my deck.
for sure.
I think
All
it is a
right, so
very
here we
strong
go.
control tool. It's really good at making like blockers for 2099, and there's the Nexus. As soon as I go down to 5 cards, I believe, and
You hit the magic number, and he's gonna rip all five.
but we got some stuff in play too, so it's not the end of the world. We get mind twisted, but
No.
we have a currency converter with a squee and a construct.
On Wings of Gold, on Thin Ice,
City of
City of
Traders.
Traders, and Galvanic
And
Discharge.
like one red card at the top that I missed. But so the
So
trick
we
for
have
those of you that are unaware, Parallax Nexus will have a fading trigger in his upkeep. So you just counter that, or you counter the fading trigger. It goes away, and then there's a trigger that says return all the cards that got exiled, and you counter that with the air tie, and then the cards are gone forever. But he's at 9 life. It might have even been wise. Like this currency converter hasn't done anything yet, right? It just looted. It hasn't made a thing to put into play yet. But if we had made a 1/1 instead of looting, maybe we have dealt like 2 or 3 extra damage. It'd be 2 extra damage, I think, from this construct hitting them twice. But it could be a 4 potentially. And that could definitely be big game.
yeah.
We'll see how much it matters here. But also, we're
No.
about to make a 2/2 here, which could also, although airtie is what, a 3/2, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll trade with a 2/2. See the instead make a
Yeah.
guy. Untapping. And what's the plan? I don't have any good attacks. Oh, it is just Richard reading the squee that's going back to my hand here after putting in the graveyard on the end step here.
Right. Yeah, I think one thing to remember with Parallax Nexus compared to Tide 2 is Nexus also is sorcery speed. So the reason you have to like he has to count down stuff and make sure the hand is perfect is he has to do all that back to back to back to back in one turn, or it
Mm-hmm.
really loses its effectiveness compared to like Tide, Wave, or most of the other like the Parallaxes, like they are mostly instant speed except for Nexus.
Yeah, makes sense because you don't want the gameplay of a parallax nexus when your opponent is hellbent and you're just like, okay, draw step, exile your card, next turn, exile your card. That's a good
Right.
design choice. Congrats, Watsy.
Yeah.
Let's see, memory
I kind of
lapse.
wish they did that with the other Parallaxes, but hey, how else would I be able to wipe people's creatures off the board permanently?
In this game, despite getting 5 for zeroed, airtie is at 6 life here. Trading the
Yeah.
construct, dealing 2, putting them to 4. And who knows? Maybe this. It's hard to say at this point. The game's gone on so many turns, but maybe getting a retrofitter foundry there might have like dealt damage in different ways. Made a 1/1 that like converts up to a 4/4 at some point, and maybe crosses that finish line. But notably, this 4 damage threshold means that like the game isn't quite over. There is a copy of the Devoid burn spell that I'm forgetting the name of.
Magmatic Sinkhole?
No,
No.
not the delve one. Though I
Go,
casted
ghost,
last round
oh,
was the Spider-Man
Ghost
one.
Fire Slice.
There we go. Yeah, that one goes face. So, we're in lethal range. We got a 2/2 in play. We're getting a 2/2 every other turn, and we're still like this currency converter is drawing an extra card essentially by
Right.
repeatedly binning the squee. This game isn't quite over, but the control player with a full grip, it's hard to feel good.
Right. This is usually when I get into the match with Richard specifically, and I go, okay, how am I gonna figure this out? Because this is usually when Richard starts stepping on the gas and runs away with it, and I got to figure out how I can somehow manage a win from his
Yeah,
clutches.
and the really tough thing here is in Dual Commander, you really want to be mindful of the clock, and when you're in these control mirrors, you can easily draw matches just by running out of time. And I will be very quick to concede in control matches if I think I'm like very dead. But like, the opponent's gonna take another 10 turns to win the game or whatever. But like if Richard's at 10 life here or something, I'm probably scooping it up. But the fact that we're just so close to the finish line means that we kind of want to keep playing on. It's a really tough
Right.
bind.
I mean, even on board right now, you have 2 damage that if he can't deal with the 2/2 right now, you're kind of threatening lethal in a turn.
Yeah.
But
Looks like
yeah, that's
Vidalcan
one of my least favorite
Shackles.
cards. Veldoc and Shackles.
Yeah, this one's a beating.
So it's a 3 mana artifact that says pay 2 mana, tap, gain control of target creature. That's power is less than or equal to the number of islands you control.
Mm-hmm. Definitely has more islands than I have power on this one rogue token. So it looks like we're dealing 0 damage. But notably, again, we go to combat. He, in response, steals. If we draw that Ghostfire Slice, that's just lethal. Unless he has, Force Negation or something. But so we're still in this game. Oh, woof. This brutal days. But
Yeah, that's where it gets you.
You got to pick your spots where you can, and your control opponent tapped out. You got to jam sometimes, and it's always good to be like tapping out on the turns where your currency converter is going to make a token rather than loot. So getting the squee back into the yard, it's a good turn to not activate, not pay the 2 mana to loot, right? But now this game's slipping away. Now it feels like Ghostfire Slice is basically my only out, and untapped with 4 or 5 cards in hand, sitting with the air tie as a counter spell. The game is slipping more and more away. And it's maybe about this time where someone more cognizant about the clock should start considering conceding.
Yeah, and we know you have an ooze in hand from the earlier counterspell, so here comes the ooze.
Does let my rogue attack into their rogue, although
right.
I don't know why I wouldn't do that.
Brain Surgeon.
Brain Surge, draw 4, put more back, a lot more fumbling. The control deck slowly cinches the noose tighter.
Yep. This is the misery I feel at least twice a week
Every
of
time
watching.
You have to play
Yeah, watching my opponent just twiddle me down and just go, okay, yep, that resolves. Yep, okay,
and he keeps tapping out here. These are moments where, all right, sure, opposition agent. What if we just activate this currency converter and loot into the Ghostfire Slice right now? I mean, maybe he's just been sitting on force.
That'd be amazing.
Force negation this whole time, and he's just feeling very safe, and that's why he keeps tapping out. But these moments are the reason that I continue to try to play this game out instead of being like, all right, we're super dead. But we get to
spoiler here. I don't think he runs Force of Negation in this deck.
That feels insane to me.
it was a conversation that was had,
Free spells
and
are.
I don't think he.
Maybe
Yeah,
this isn't the forum for it, but free spells are really good at Duel Commander.
I
I mean,
think I think his whole like context was that he didn't have enough blue spells in the deck. I don't know. I don't know.
interesting. I mean, I guess I don't know how many black spells and colorless spells he has, maybe, but
Yeah.
an interesting discussion to be had. But yeah, like these windows for finding exactly Ghostfire Slice, it's tough because there's one out of 80, 70 cards left in the deck or whatever. But here's me like
Yeah.
trying to find those windows here. Activate currency
Yep.
converter.
Pitching squee
Discard
again.
the squee. Did not find Ghostfire Slice.
All right, so you're staring down an opposition agent, which makes any fetch land that you draw useless, or any kind of search effect useless.
Yeah, not that Quint has too many of those besides specifically fetch hands. I guess gamble to try to 50-50 Ghostfire Slice at some point. It's off the table.
Yeah.
But it looks like Richard only has what 3 cards in hand or something at this point. There's just continue to
Yeah, it
be
looks like 3.
these small openings. Oh, is he? Oh, he's casting a Fire Nation Occupation.
Yeah, so this card usually does a lot of work,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it kills you pretty quick.
Yeah, and here's the waterbending scroll. This is the card that Richard plays that many might not.
Draw a card. This ability
Um,
costs 1 less for each island you control, and it's
What's the activation cost? 5
Yep.
or something?
No, right now he has 1, 2, 3, 4 islands right now.
Yeah, I just meant the base
So I think,
activation cost of it.
oh, I believe the base activation cost is 6.
6. Okay, that makes sense. All right, we finally cycle away this stupid mana rock or the stupid graveyard thing. Probably trying to find again this Ghostfire Slice. He's only got 2 cards in hand. We could, still rip it off the top and just dome him for 4. This game could be over.
That would be great.
And that's what I think we just
That would
see
be
me continually trying to do that. Just instead of making another 2/2 that's not going to matter, I just loot again, trying to find exactly this Ghostfire Slice to try to end this game because this window is still there a little bit. It's just, the odds are getting less and less and less. Yeah, Fury, that's
okay. There's a Fury.
technically
Fury.
I guess it's not even lethal if he has nothing, but mana leak.
Yep.
I think I forgot to activate this ooze last turn or something. That's so far
Yeah.
from mattering. Oh yeah, it gets a.
And yeah, because he casts Mana Leak, he gets more soldiers.
Yep. And he looks like he has 4 islands then, so he couldn't tap the Waterbending Scroll.
Yeah, 4 islands. Pays 2.
Yeah,
draws a card.
2.
Starts to gain a ton of value.
Yeah, this is. Probably, I don't know how many more turns this game goes on. But this is maybe, if the previous point isn't where I should have conceded, maybe it's this point, but it just feels like there's still the one of out in there. We could still find something, but honestly,
right.
Richard Charles will probably just hold up airtight for the rest of the game while I draw blanks and just like attack me over the course of like 4 turns or something. But he keeps tapping low and giving me these opportunities. Well, that's a good spell to tap low for, I suppose.
Yeah. Eats 5-year lands. Next turn, cast Urtai and just run away with it. I'm not sure I agree with the Fire Soldier attack here, but
Got to end the game eventually. He's got 2 other blockers, right?
I think he in my opinion, again Monday morning quarterbacking here. I think I would swing all out.
Well, I don't know about all out. I've got 1 creature left, right? Oh, okay. We're getting fancy with it. Oh, he's using the mana from the soldier in addition to the 2 blue to put 5 instances of Parallax Tide on the stack and then wash away the Parallax Tide.
So wipe away is an
Or, yeah,
insane,
wipe away.
nonsensical effect of split second, and he returns not target non-land permanent back to his hand, which is parallax with tide.
Mm-hmm. So you put the 5 triggers on the stack, and then with all the 5 triggers still on the stack, exiling 5 of your lands, you pick it back up so that the leave the battlefield trigger happens, giving me back no lands because nothing's been exiled, and then the 5 instances all resolve, exiling 5 of my lands permanently. And then you have the parallax tied back, so you can exile the rest of the lands the next turn. This has got to be where I pick it up, right? There we go. Yeah, all right. If you miss on the burn spell there, then the game's just going to be over. It's reasonable at that point. Just
right. And you have no red mana besides whatever treasure you summon.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the nature of the airtime matchup. It feels of just getting minds twisted. In addition to having to play that control game, it's a tough tightrope to balance. We did almost get there, despite the being on the draw, the mull to 6. We saw the effectiveness of cards like Urza Saga and Currency Converter.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not feeling good here on the back foot, down a game versus a very bad matchup. But game 1 also took a tremendously long amount of time. So it's also, not only do I have to win twice. I'm 2-1 at this point. This is around 4. So yeah, this is win and probably draw into the top 8 at 3-1-1. Apologies for any listeners if you can hear the cat screaming in the background. She's very upset that I've locked her out. All right.
Yeah. My dog is mildly upset as well, but he seems to be going to sleep, I guess.
Looks like a mulligan for me.
All right, so this is mulligan to 6.
Yeah. Looks like he's keeping. Do we get to see the hand again while I'm mulliganing? Yeah. The Richard special. Marsh Flats, Watery Grave.
Marsh
basic. Lorien revealed. Brain Surge. What's that last card there?
I didn't see the last card on that one.
Let's rewind it. The magic of playing it back.
That's a Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
Or no, that's a Subtlety.
Creature Flash. Yeah, that's Subtlety. Brain Surge, Lorien Reveal. All right, this hand's not that good. I mean, part of the benefit of playing a control deck, though, is that you don't know what's in your opponent's hand, right? I kind of have to play as if his hand has 3 counter spells, even if his hand is really, really slow like this one.
Right. Plus, a Brain Surge can definitely flip his hand around too.
The Brain Surge can solve a lot of the problems, certainly. And Quint's not a deck that can really put the pressure on early either, so you can kind of afford to sit and durdle around and just hit a couple of land drops, then Brain Surge into some gas, cycle Lorien Reveal to shuffle away the cards you put on top, stuff like that. And the roll of 5 is brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Mulling to 5, bad matchup, feel down a game. These are the moments where you're just like, ugh. Your opponent's nat keeps 7. It's just you're feeling real demoralized at this point. Honestly, the worst part of mulliganing to 5 is that you have to shuffle your 99 card deck a third time.
Yeah, especially in a 50-minute timer running down. Gotta move fast, unfortunately.
Yeah. I should start counting the number of times. I forget the stat. It's 7 mass shuffles, I think, is determining, is supposed to be sufficiently randomized or something. Gotta get those seconds where they count. I genuinely, I single sleeve my dual commander decks for the sole purpose of being able to shuffle faster so we have more time for games.
Nice.
Gotta get those edges. Alright, where's
Yeah.
Roll to 5. Alright, we're keeping on 5. Feeling bad. See how it goes. But, Richard Hand, again, like we talked about, pretty weak. If I can muster up something, if I have like an early Urza Saga like I did last game, if he has a bad brain surge, we could definitely figure out something. Alright, turn 1 currency converter. That's certainly something. We saw the power currency converter last game, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, currency converter alone, if you can space it out right, make some good discards to it, can definitely fill your board up.
And I'm fetching in response to this fetch again. Thinking about it, thinking about not. Going to cycle and then fetch. Yes, I'm going to land cycle and then fetch surveil land, it looks like. Makes sense. Although
take the turn off from.
Yeah, I don't know what's in my hand. Probably not a lot. It's a mold of 5, but I almost just think that you want to activate currency converter every chance you can get based on how bad.
Well, the fun part about this is that because you discard Oliphant, it should go under currency.
Yeah. The Oliphant goes under the converter because it discards itself. That's past me, much smarter than current me. He was thinking on his feet. You just get the free 2/2, and you get your surveil, and then you start activating the currency converter to loot next turn.
Right. Plus, now you don't have to worry about stifle effects.
Yeah. This is all done in response to this other that finds a counterspell, thinks about it, keeps it. Kind of surprised. Spellspinner does not have a lot of great targets. But I think he just kind of wants action. He wants to have some sort of shields up against something. If I just untap playing a Johnny or something next turn.
Yeah, it could also have Voice of Victory and so on. There's a bunch of unfortunate options that you could drop down against a control deck with Quintorius.
Yeah.
Seems like you're explaining a process to him.
That was me just looting away a hostility that shuffled itself back into the deck. And me explaining what was going on there. Wait, when did I loot that away? Did I mill it?
Rogue.
Something like that. We'll get our rogue, start our beatdown with currency converter.
You surveilled the hostility away, is what you did.
Okay. And now it looks like my plan is probably leave up currency converter activation every other turn for the rest of the game. So you loot, make a 2/2 next turn, and then loot, make a 2/2, etc., etc. Kind of gotta be a little scrappy when you're on a multi 5. Get all the value you can out of your little fiddly artifacts. And these are the starts that you do kind of want versus Airtie, right? These things that are value generating that are hard to answer, stuff like currency converter, like the Retrofitter Foundry we talked about. These are the cards that are good in the matchup. Blue-black in particular has a lot of problems where a white or a red control deck have prismatic endings or a braid type effects. Quarry Mountain Monastery in here. Another card that can start generating a little bit of extra value and play an unlicensed hearse. We do know he has that spell snare, but if he does it, then he also doesn't get to fire off this brain surge that I think he really wants to fire off, right? Brain surge, untap, cycle Lorien Revealed is still an option, but always available next turn. You can get to hold up this Urtai and step brain surge if there's nothing worth Urtaiing. And this Shenanigans goes under the currency converter and ends up in the graveyard here. Not likely to be relevant. Airtight doesn't have a ton of artifacts, but we did see that Vidalcan Shackles played a really big role in game 1, so that looming in the graveyard, good thing to keep in mind, especially if Quint manages to resolve or something, we could instantly get a 3/2. He's got that stupid die out again. There's the end step. Brain surge that we talked about, probably followed by a cycling of Lorien revealed.
Yeah.
I have one card left in hand, but in addition to the currency converter, we do have this Quarry Mountain Monastery. Yeah, I guess the die doesn't really play around Parallax Nexus by mulliganing to 5, so you just don't have any cards in hand to discard. The secret tech. So it's Brain Surge. Don't get a good look at any of the cards left in his hand here. We know the subtlety and a Lorien revealed from the opener. And then put those on top and then cycle Lorien revealed. Yep.
All right.
All right. We see an activation of currency converter again. Still on the end step here. Discarding an anger, too. Another good card to discard along with that shenanigans. Anger being discarded will, or being put into the graveyard afterwards, will just give all of the rogues haste afterwards. So next turn could just be untap, activate converter, make a third rogue, attack for 6. This is a big game.
Right.
No, it also could be, attack for 6, but then Airtie kills a rogue, blocks a
Now,
rogue.
notably, what Urtai could do is counter the activation.
Oh, that's also true, yeah. But the anger would then also stay there, right? So it would delay the 2/2, but, buy it for a turn and let me draw a card. Let's see, looks like nowhere to run. Killing a rogue. And taking 4. Down to 7 with an anger in the yard. There's some pretty good tools we have here. These are the ways that you want to be interacting with Airtie too. Things that are hard for them to deal with. Not only these artifacts, these enchantments, but also the graveyards. Blue Blacks. He's probably got a clean to dust in there somewhere, but not the most adept at getting rid of these annoying cards out of graveyards. Last round, we talked about Consult the Star Charts being super demoralizing to resolve. This one, you're feeling a little good on the Mold of 5, and your opponent not kicking the Consult, feeling pressured enough where it's like, I just need to dig 5, looking for some sort of answer here. And that is a Ponder. We have 5 mana up here, the tapped converter, but we do have the ability to activate Quarry Mountain Monastery to draw additional cards versus the opponent with, a million cards in hand. Doing what we can.
Yeah. That's kind of where the mana sink lands kind of come in handy though too, is when you're kind of behind the ball, you can find a way to catch up.
Yeah, definitely. Good way to use the off turns on the currency converter too.
For sure.
You sink a bunch of mana, and then maybe we'll be able to cast a spell off it. If it gets counterspelled, it's whatever. We'll put 2 more mana into the converter afterwards. And Ponder finishes resolving here.
Chooses not to shuffle.
Yeah, likes the cards. And Toxic Deluge. I mean, you do what you gotta do, but going to 5. Killing these 2 rogues.
Yeah.
Anger's still looming.
I don't know if that was Yeah, I don't know if that'd be my play there.
I mean, it's hard to find a better
So-
spot for a deluge, is I think part of the issue, right? Like, if you don't deluge, you're going to like 3 life all of a sudden, and everything is haste. The deluge might have just been kind of out of necessity. It's not getting any better.
Yeah.
Hitting pyrokinesis off of the Cordman Monastery, not a great draw. I would venture so far as to say a bad draw, but still a draw. You get a card off the top of the deck, try to find some better action.
Right.
Simeon Spirit Guide with haste.
Seen worse. Done worse.
I've seen a lot worse. We cast a Squee last round.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
thing's got double the stats and it's got haste.
That's true.
Richard may be thinking about countering this. I always love. I
Might
love
need
guessing. I love guessing Spirit Guide. Yeah, there's a memory lapse on the Simeon Spirit
Yeah.
Guide. Land. Land here,
if I'm you, I'd jam Quintorius here.
but you are not me. I think I remember what happens right here. Okay, no, I don't remember what happens here. Maybe I should jam Quintorius then. I mean, I might be thinking of a future turn. I don't want to spoil anything. Maybe.
I jam Quintorius into 0 mana open.
I assume I have some sort of. I think my plan is just that I value activating this currency converter more than I value getting Quintorius on the board. I have a pretty strong read that he is on a subtlety here, but I think that's for next turn. That's a read that I cash in late next turn. But intuition here. What does this intuition get here? Sorcery, speed, intuition. You're facing down a currency converter that's hard to answer. There's an anger in the graveyard.
The immediate thought is Cling to Dust.
That makes sense. If he's got a Disruptor Flute, maybe.
Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah, that one's certainly not bad.
And
Barrowglyph.
I'd imagine
Barrowglyph.
Okay.
Strong choice. I'm sitting on 1 card in hand, and it's just like huge lifelinker. It definitely stymies the 2/2 aggression here.
Right.
Makes sense. And this decision's going to haunt him for a long time, I imagine. It's grabbing this Vidalcan Shackles. It's been a long game. There's a shenanigan sitting in my graveyard, though. That Vidalcan Shackles is not going to do a lot. Yeah. I give him the Shackles, looking at the shenanigans in my graveyard, feeling pretty good. And probably just passes the turn. Leave up a bunch of open mana. Yep. And step loot. I know I have a Simeon Spirit Guide on the top of my deck too, so this could be, I guess, not quite lethal, right? We'd only be attacking for 4 with loot into untap, cast Simeon Spirit Guide. He's thinking about casting something, though. Pay 2 life is a choice. I am deeply curious as to what's in his hand. He really wants to hold up the air tie this turn. He probably still has a subtlety. I don't imagine that got shuffled away on the brain surge. But you could maybe doesn't have the blue card for the pitch cast on subtlety. Needs to hold that up to stop Quint. Hard to say, but we activate here. Discard the Spirit Guide. So my other card is better than a 2/2 with haste. I wonder what that could be. Activate. Cling. Tapped out. Clinging the oh, that's what the shock's for. Valuing that you gain the life, you get the life rebate by killing the anger, and you stop the haste from messing you up. Yeah. This makes sense. Also makes some sense. Me in the present, or me in the past, probably recognizing that and valuing my 2/2 a lot less now that it doesn't have haste. maybe my other card's
Right.
just really good. But also, this is my opening. Going to tapped out.
All right. So this is where I jam Quintorius.
This is all right. So this is the turn that I thought was last turn, where I was going to make the much bigger brain play than jamming Quintorius.
Okay.
Which is thinking I think I tanked on this turn because I remember I'm pretty sure I'm deliberating over casting Quintorius on this exact turn cycle. But we jam. Do we still? I'm really trying hard to figure this one out. On Wings of Gold.
Yeah, on Wings of Gold.
This play was very specifically, I think Quintorius and On Wings of Gold are equally likely to win this game, and this plays around exactly subtlety. Was my
Right.
decision tree here. And I'm pretty confident that he does still have the subtlety in his hand from the opener, unless he wanted to shuffle it away.
Yeah.
So, and then we also get the loot with currency converter, pick up the shenanigans out of the graveyard as my draw to make a 1/1. Turns into a 2/2 flyer. Mill off the shenanigans, milling a land, and then discarding.
Exile, make another one.
A card that oh yeah, we make 2/2 flyers. Jeez. Yeah, this is everything's going great. Discard this on thin ice.
Yeah, just imagine if you had an anger out.
Yeah, if only. I mean, that's why the Cling to Dust was a good grab on the intuition, but that Wateroo Grave definitely hurt. He could be at 8 if it was a different land. But
yeah,
things are looking bad. Yeah, here's this Vidalcan Shackles versus the shenanigans that is still in my hand. I kept it.
Yeah, the funny thing is you can, even if he does have a hard counter to your shenanigans right now, you can just discard, pitch, pick it back up.
Yeah, cast it again. Yeah, it's very good here. Shenanigans, your Vidalcan Shackles. He can activate. This Vidalcan Shackles also notably very funny against On Wings of Gold. Even without the shenanigans, Vidalcan Shackles not very good against On Wings of Gold because you then take a zombie, it loses flying and becomes a 1/1. So like you take one token out of the equation, but you can't block. But here you could activate Shackles in response to take a token, and then it would immediately go back, but it would regain Summoning Sickness.
That's yeah.
He's in quite the pickle here.
Because he's about to take 4 damage V.
Yeah, if he activates the Shackles, he only takes 2. It looks like he's thinking about it, but he might be trying to hold up this subtlety maybe for like the Quintorius or the airtie, right? Yeah. But if you airtie the shenanigans, could you dredge the shenanigans off the airtie draw? You could, right?
Yeah, no. It's a wait. It counters it, then you draw a card. Oh, you could, yeah.
You could. That's really funny. I've never thought about
that. Counter target spell, period, draw a card.
Yeah.
So yeah, the spell gets countered, then the draw card can go on the stack. Yeah.
Learn something new every day. But just opts to hold up the mana and eat the damage here, and then flash and subtlety. Yeah, this was the hard read for a while. Is kind of forced into the play of like having to hold up a spell to respect Quintorius, and then I don't have to play the Quintorius. I can hold up activating Currency Converter and activating Mistveil Plains.
Yeah, I think right now he has like a lose focus or some kind of remand, something along those lines. Because I don't see him jamming subtlety unless he has another backup to keep Quintorius off.
Yeah,
but he is at 2 life with
he does also always have the airtie. I think he also desperately needs like some board state. He needs some cards in the graveyard to cast this Cling to, gain a little bit more life.
Yeah.
He needs a lot.
But I think, yeah, that's the thing. I think he's just outnumbered over this next turn, like you said, with Mistveiled Plains, with the currency converter. You just create 2 more dudes at his end step, and
every
now
single
he has
creature's
4
lethal.
2/2s. Yeah.
Let's activate the converter.
Now,
looting does, it's just effectively better than making a 2/2 at this point, because you get to make a 2/2 anyway off of discarding a card and putting it under the converter and triggering Dawn Wings of Gold. You can even do it twice, because the shenanigans, and yeah, it's good enough that he has to counter it. But then, do we pick up the shenanigans? Just thinking about it, thinking about not, thinking about doing a second thing. He's just so under the gun here. If he can get like, Airtight doesn't fly though, so it doesn't block on board. He needs to kill. He needs to defuse like 2 zombies here. Yeah, it's over. Handful of counters. What is that?
yeah.
Mystic counter spell. Yeah, lose focus, wash away some other. Oh, that's the Snapcaster Mage, maybe.
Right.
Hard to tell, but yeah. That's the game. And then, unfortunately, you see here at the bottom of the screen, we're at the 50-minute mark. I believe there were like 2 or 3 minutes left in the round at this point, and we both agreed, yeah, this was just going to be a draw. We're not going to play game 3.
Yeah. And in a competition like that, you got to value everyone's like time in that aspect, and try to do a match in less than a minute, or just going in 5 turns. Neither one of your deck is built to.
Yeah, Quintorius and Airtie are not killing at all before. And that's not even to say the resolving, shuffling, and mulligans and stuff that would take another minute or 2.
Right.
This match is never happening. But
yeah, he's still scarred to this day about that currency converter. So
that currency converter was so, like, the anger was really good, the shenanigans was really good, the playing around subtlety. I remember you see here, like, we had like some post game discussion. It was like, did you have subtlety? Because that's what I was really envisioning, like how I navigated most of that game was with subtlety specifically in mind. And it's really, I find it really hard to play around those free spells sometimes. So I was really proud of how this game played out, regardless of, kind of a disappointing match end here with a 1-1 did not finish. Some very cool games regardless. That's gonna wrap up here. Yeah. We'll be back for round 5, the final round of Swiss at CoolStuffCon Dallas.